Hello, everybody, whenever, wherever, welcome. You hear that? It's not anything with the quality of sound. No, that's a recording of Uranus from Voyager over 20 years ago. So, isn't that? I find that totally fascinating. But I think we had enough of this, and I will go and switch it off, and then we actually also start looking at Uranus on a NASA site so that we can get some nice pictures and some nice ideas about his world. I mean, ours we know, but they in yeah, see, that is Uranus as we may know, but by now we have much different pictures of him, and we know much more due to all the missions that have been done to explore those outer woods. Wait, I'm sorry. We go here to the NASA site. You can see this is just the view as it would look like in one, let's say, Uranian year. It takes him about 84 Earth years to make one cycle around the Sun. But he rotates around his own axis in just only 17 hours. But he is his axis is very much tilt. Yeah, we know from Earth, it's Earth is tilt between 22 to 24 degrees, but his axis is tilt about 97.77 degrees. That means it looks like he lays on his axis on the side, and he is the only planet who has such a high uh, tilt and looks like laying down. And he rotates actually from east to west, as well as Venus. She does the same, but these are the only two planets who do that. I don't know if there is any, if it actually happens that planets do change their direction of rotation. I have no clue about that, but it would be interesting because it would really explain a few things. But I'm not a scientist to hypothesize around such themes, I think. So, yeah, you see, he is really on his way here. And interesting fact is that he is about the size, 4 times the size of Earth. And of course, because he is tilted like this, and for that his polar axis is just 42 years long, roughly, yeah, on the same side. That means that his night and day is going about half of one of his years, if you want. His cross is the south node, and north node is Scorpio, 19 degrees Scorpio and Taurus, and his aphelion and perihelion is 26 degrees Aquarius and Leo. So it's the fixed cross. Maybe you remember from my last presentation when I was talking about the crosses. So at the moment, Earth is in her mutable cross. That always involves 4 signs, which is now Pisces, Virgo, Gemini, and Sagittarius. But that's not Uranus' realm. His realm is, as I said, Aquarius, Leo, Taurus, Scorpio, the fixed cross. So now we have a look where he stands now, actually. That is here, Uranus, here, and just here the Sun. Yeah, this one here is Uranus. Voilà. And here the Sun. As you can see, it's almost there, right? So the Uranus at solar conjunction, or the other way around, as the Sun is much faster as watched from Earth than Uranus. That's why we usually say the faster one first. So solar conjunction, and as you can see, this one here is the head of Cetus, as I so often talk about, and up here is Aries. It is actually when you watch the sky just like that, you go out in the street or just somewhere a little bit remote, you can see some of these stars, but it's I mean, of course, at daytime you can't, but at night it's still, if you are close to a city, it is very difficult because of the light pollution, and so you don't really see many of the dimmer stars. So, but what is always observable are here Orion. It's always very easy to depict that, and then here further down would be Sirius, also not a problem to view, as he is the brightest star in our heavens. So also here still Venus and Mercury, and over here in Gemini we have Mars. See, Neptune under the circlet of Pisces, but still in Aquarius, and here is Jupiter, Saturn, and Pluto back here. So Ceres and Aries here as well, as we know. Vesta is a little bit further down here, we can't see that yet, it's not up yet, but we can see that on the chart for tomorrow actually. Here we have the Sun, Uranus, and we have here Venus and Mercury, Mars, our nodal axis here, the north node, up here the south node, and Here, Vesta and Orcus is very south, Vesta a bit north of the ecliptic. And here, Ceres and Aries. This one is Chiron, Neptune, Pallas Athena, Jupiter, Saturn. What we have here? That's Chariklo. And here we have, I don't really know how to pronounce that, Quaoar and Pholus and the moon. We can see here again over the head of Cetus. Yep. As Aries over a little bit over the ecliptic, this one under. So we can go back here. We can see that here it's roughly the same. Yeah. Now there are some news that have been discovered about Uranus, and that's here in this NASA news pages. For a long time, we didn't know that Uranus does have rings as we usually would know about Saturn, but we know now that Jupiter got them too. We know that Uranus got them. I think even Neptune. Pluto, I think they don't know that one yet. It is possible because many of the dwarf planets and even the centaurs, they do have rings. So it seems to be quite common to have rings, kind of maybe in the outer spheres even more so than not to have. At least it seems to me like this. And so he has several rings, as we can see here. Yeah, several rings. And they saw X-ray emissions from Uranus, and they were very, very astonished about that. They thought that X-ray emissions can usually come from the sun, but as the sun is so far away, they think there might be another source. They don't know what it is. Maybe it's also that Uranus makes them himself, as they already discovered Saturn is doing. But they are not 100% sure about how that works. But right now, I think this week, they have a special event, let's say worldwide, that they use all kinds of different huge telescopes, and they work together and they all study Uranus to find and maybe to get some more information out of those pictures that they can make. I for sure hope so, because I find it fascinating. Even so, these here are not the actual colors as we would see them by naked eye, but or if we would fly by, I don't know how it would look like, but actually it's nothing like this total pale, motionless looking grayish, bluish grayish bowl, right? It's not. So there is a lot going on there which we just discover now, and I find that totally fascinating. That we are able to see these things now. I just wished I could look once through such a telescope. So voila. Now astrology. In astrology, we do get a lot of the information actually from the different mythologies. That is already from very old Egyptian ones, Sumerian ones, but then of course the Greek ones, which is much closer for us. But we also know that all these mythologies, they are actually very, very similar with a little bit different names, a little bit different behavior explained in many, many other very old traditions and, let's say, belief systems, cultures. So that is within the different Asian mythologies as well as the old South American ones. And I think some of them also with the American Indians. But I don't have much knowledge about that. So, but even so, when we just look at what we know from the Greek and Roman mythologies and then also compare a bit with Egyptian mythology, we come to we see the same stories again and again. It's really about how the the universe was created, or at least our solar system, and how what are the primordial forces and who came next and how that went. I mean, it's all these energies, let's say, are personified. Oh, yeah, they are looked at like people, which they are in some ways when we look at modern physics and how we can interpret that all. Then we are all, whatever it is, it's a living creature. There is nothing dead, actually, as everything is energy. But it's sometimes a little bit difficult to translate those mythologies into the physics, into science, or into another form that is more, let's say, translatable for us, right? It's sometimes a bit difficult, but with astrology, I think it all works very well. And as we know from the science, as I just showed you, Uranus is a little bit different than the others, right? And so he is a bit rebellious. We do not always want to do the same as everybody else does, or we want to break out a bit of the status quo. We have other ideas about how to live life and so on, especially like when we are younger, right? We have this, we want to go somewhere else and do something else. So that is just how it is, yeah? So that's the rebellious factor. But we also have his, let's say, liberating way, his nodal axis is talking about more Taurus and Scorpio energies, right? So Taurus is more physical, but it's also a lot about earth, about the ground, about physicality, but a lot about the heart as well, and is sensual. And Scorpio is more like Pluto's realm, yeah? It's more the so-called underworld, or maybe it's the vast outside, yeah, which we actually don't know. So, however, in whatever way we look at it, it is something that we are usually a little bit scared of. If it's the deep hidden within, or the vast unknown, away from anything that we ever have experienced, both can be scary. But with trust within self, when we know who and what we are, we can overcome such fears. And he stands for that. He wants to liberate us from those fears. So, and Leo Aquarius axis, that's also something very important to understand. It's that we cannot change the group, but we can change ourselves. In the meaning that when we change ourselves, then we automatically we will relate differently in a group, and therefore we change the group from within, if you want, and not trying to change the other members. So, but we can change. And sometimes, I mean, if we are in a group, whatever kind of group that is, we can always say, okay, that doesn't match my belief system or my interest or whatever anymore, whatever kind of group it is, and how how much you value that group as being a member of it. Yeah. So this is how he works, right? He works with Leo, yeah, with the one, with the person, with the individuum, and he translates that into a group, the others, yeah, Aquarius. So, but it's one thing, if you want, yeah. It's one axis. You cannot just, if we live just in one side, there will always be an imbalance that we feel, that we create in such ways, yeah. That's always with the polarities. I talk a lot about polarities, so you know. Anyway, I think that is all for today about Uranus over there. I hope you can also enjoy him a bit. I think it's really fantastic that we have all these telescopes and possibilities nowadays, so we can make such presentations and talk not only about the beliefs we have and interpretations from old observable sources, but also from newest science. So now I wish you all the best, and yeah, you know the buttons, yes, and I see you next time.